Okay, let's move on to question 2. Question 2 is where we're starting to do a few of sort of like area, volume questions, etc. So we're moving, sort of shifting gear away from finance, which was question 1. So let's make sure that we are on top of it. Okay, so Katarina, I think that's how you say it, is planning a fashion show and intends using the school hall for the event. The hall has a stage and she plans to have a raised T-shaped platform, right, that give us some pictures below, called a runway, erected in front of the stage as shown in the diagram. Okay, so there is the stage and there's the T-shaped runway. Okay, so we're going to use this, obviously. We see there's lots of dimensions, etc. Let's not stress about it. Remember I said to you that there's a big part of questions where you just read through it and you have to understand the information before you can answer the question. So don't get like, oh, what's going on? Go to the questions and they'll help you out. The 7 exposed rectangular sides of the T-shaped runway will be covered with material. The top of the runway will be carpeted. The total length of the runway is equal to 1/3 of the length of the hall. So there's the length of the runway, okay, and that's going to be 1/3 of the hall. Let's make sure that we understand the 7 sides, right? What's it talking about? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are exposed. This one's not exposed because where does it sit? It sits against the stage, right? So just make sure that you understand what the 7 is, and you're able to look at this picture and then translate it into this sort of view, okay? These people are living their best lives over here. Okay, right, so 2.1.1, calculate. It says calculate the missing value D in millimeters. Now, we can see from this, right, and you could be saying, oh, like what's going on? How do we go about this? Well, to get D, right, do you agree with me that this 4.2 is that length plus D, right? So we can just say, and again, please make sure that you start your every question on a new page, right? And you're labeling it nicely, right? So we're going to say 4.2, because that's that full length there, minus 1.2, that's that length there, minus 1.8, right? And that is going to give us D, okay? So you can say D equals 4.2 minus 1.2 minus 1.8, right? Make sure you're typing that in correctly, put it into that mode, and it is 1.2 meters. Okay, now what's very important here is if you read the question, you can see that they didn't ask for the answer in meters, they asked for the answer in millimeters. So be careful to make sure that you are presenting your answer in the way that they want it, right? So we know what D is, but how do we go from meters to millimeters? Well, we say 1.2, we times it by 100 to get it into centimeters, and then we times it by 10 to get into millimeters. Because remember, there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter, and then there are 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. Okay, these are things you have to know, right? This is not given, you have to know it. So make sure that you are comfortable with that. And if you haven't, go learn those, okay? So 1.2 times 100 times 10, and it's going to be this many millimeters, right? So 1,200 millimeters. So be careful you have that, round it off, put your units in, sign it off, and let's go on to the next question. Okay, so it says the total length in millimeters again of the exposed sides of the runway. So now remember, the only exposed sides are the 7, so don't include this, okay? So let's make sure we have all these lengths. We know that that's 15, that's 1.2, that's 1.2, that's 4.2. This is going to be 1.2. We worked out that that's 1.2, all of these in meters. And this side here is also 15, okay? I know it looks a bit ugly, but you should be able to follow me, okay? So let's make sure that we're doing this correctly. Let's add them all up. So we're going to say 15 plus 1.2 plus 1.2 plus 4.2. So I've gone 15. I'll do it with a highlighter so you can show me. So you can show me so that I can show you. 15, right? 1.2, 1.2, 4.2. That's where we're up to. So then we go 1.2 again, 1.2. Let me just write those down so that we are on the same page. Okay, and then our last one is going to be that one there, which is 15. Okay, so plus 15. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Fabulous. They told us there were 7 exposed sides, so we know that we're on the right track. All we need to do is plug that into our calculator and get the answer. So it's 15 plus 1.2 plus 1.2 plus, 4.2 plus 1.2 plus 1.2 plus 15. Okay, and that gives us 30, oh goodness gracious, I'm writing very badly today, 39 meters. But again, they didn't ask us for the answer in meters, they asked us for the answer in millimeters. Now we're comfortable with how to actually convert because we've done it in the previous question. Okay, do this, put it into your calculator. It's going to be 39,000 millimeters, and we are done. Okay, be very careful that you're presenting your answer in the form they want it, because if you don't put this, you're going to lose a mark, and you don't want to lose marks for things like that. Okay. Okay, then it says here, the area in meters squared. So now we want to keep it in meters squared of the runway that needs to be covered with carpet, right? You may use the following formula: area of a rectangle, length times width. So we know, right, what is the area that we're talking about? We're talking about this area here, right? Because that's what they said was covered in carpet. So we have to work out that area. Now, this is, obviously, we can't work out just the area of a T, so we have to split it. So what I want to do here is I'm going to split it like this, and I'm going to work out the area of that, and I'm going to work out the area of that, and add those two areas together, and that will give me the overall area. Okay, so be careful that you're able to split things, because it didn't say here the area of a T, it said an area of a rectangle, so we need to split it into rectangles. Okay, so I'm going to say area of T is going to be the area of little a plus the area of b. If you want to show your marker what you mean, just draw a little thing like that and do that so that they know what you mean. Okay, the area of a, right, so this rectangle is going to be 15 times 1 comma 8. You should be able to see that, right, because that's going to be my length and that's going to be my width. So it's going to be 15 times 1.8, and my area of b is going to be 1 comma 2 times 4 comma 2. Okay, 1 comma 2 times 4.2, right? All we need to do now is plug that into our calculator. Because it's already in meters, we don't need to do any conversion, so that's fabulous. So we are well on our way to being close to an answer. Just make sure that you're typing it in correctly. I always make mistakes here. Don't know how I do it, but anyways. So it's 32.04, right? And then you must always put meters squared. Why is it squared? Because we're looking at 2 dimensions, right? Length and breadth. Okay, so that is our answer. Sign it off nicely, and we are well on our way to finishing this question. Okay, let me just make sure that you can always see me. Okay, so 2.1.1, and we are looking at D. So let's see what it says here. It says, what is the length in meters? So again, we know what we're talking about, of the hall. Now it told us that the total length of the runway is 1/3 of the length of the hall. So now we've worked out the area of the runway, but we can look at the length of the runway by looking at that value there, right? So what is the length of the runway? Length of runway, right, is going to be 15 plus 1.2. Put that in your calculator and you'll get that. So that's the length of the runway. So we're not done, right? But we know that the length of the runway is related to the length of the hall. Now, the length of the runway is only 1/3 of the hall. So the hall is 3 times longer than the runway, right? So what you then say is you say 16.2, you times it by 3, put that in your calculator. You don't have to do these things in your head, right? And your answer is 48.6 meters. Okay, and that is your answer, and we are done with this question. Okay, be careful here. What students sometimes want to do is they want to put like a little squared by the meters. Remember, squared is only for area, cubed, that little 3 is for volume. When we're just working out length or distance, you don't have to do anything to the units except just include them normally, right? Because there's only one dimension we're working with, which is length. When you're working with 2 dimensions, we put a 2. When we're working 3 dimensions, like with volume, you put a 3. So just don't get confused there. Okay, 2.1.2, we are turning through these questions. Okay, so Harry, a British model, wants to know the measurement in feet of the front end of the runway. So he basically wants to know this length there. Okay, so then it says convert 4.2 to feet, rounding off to 1 decimal place. Okay, so they've told us what they want us to round off to. So don't now be rounding off to something else, right? So 1 foot equals this. So we know that we have 4.2 meters. So now what students seem to struggle with is they seem to struggle with how to convert all these things. Now I'm going to do it in a way that I think is intuitive. Some students do it in different ways, right? So I'm going to do this. Okay, I'm going to say 1 foot equals 0.3048 meters. Okay, now I actually just want to make this 1 meter. Okay, because it's just easier for me, because then I can make it 4.2 meters. Okay, so what do I have to do to this side to get that to 1? Well, I just divide it by itself. Okay, remember, anything divided by itself is still going to be 1. So I got that. So now what I do to the one side, I have to do to the other side. So do that there. So I'm going to say 1 divided by 0.3048. Put it in, and it's going to be 3.28. Do that. Okay, you can just keep that in your calculator, because what are we doing over here? Well, this side we timed by 4.2, right? And whatever we do to the one side, we have to do to the other side. Okay, so we can take this answer that is in our so sorry, this shouldn't be equals, it's actually like a ratio, so it should be little dots like that. So we can take this answer and we're going to times it by 4.2. And our answer there is 13.779, etc. feet. Okay, so this side's meters, this side's feet. It asked us to round off to 1 decimal place. So we're going to say 4.2 meters, right, is 13.8, right? That's quite important. 13.8 feet. Why is it 8? Well, we look at this number here. When we're rounding off to 1 decimal place, we look at it at the second decimal place. We say, is it above 5? 5 or above? This one is. So then we round up that number and we round it to 8. If it was 4 or below, we would have made it 13.7, right? But that second decimal place is larger than 5. So this is our answer there, and we're done. Does it make sense that we have more feet than meters? Yeah, it does, because look here, 1 foot is not even a meter, right? So we would expect that we would have more feet. So it kind of makes sense, right? That's our final answer. Leave it like that, and let's move on to the next question.